name is Katie, and welcome to episode 2 of Cooking Up Magic. Today we're going to be making Moroccan lentils and tofu. The original recipe that I found for this was chicken and lentils, and so you're welcome to make that as well. You just use really small pieces of chicken, like the tenders are good size because they cook faster, or just thin slices of chicken breast. But once everything's all cooked together, you'll shred it anyways. So first thing I'm going to do is light some incense. I have picked cedar for today. Cedar is good for strength and protection, and just taking care of business. So we'll light that. I'll also tell you about the crystals that I picked for today. So the first one that came to mind was Obsidian. Obsidian is good for protection and strength and like banishing negativity. And then red tiger's eye. Red tiger's eye is also good for protection. It's good for insight and cleansing. And it's also really good for if you're having any kind of health issues. Also, tourmalated quartz. Tourmalated quartz is really good for changing negative things into positive things. And so that just felt like a good one for today. Okay, so I'm going to do the same trick that I showed you guys last time about the onion. I cut the ends off. And that outer bit. And then we stick it in the freezer for a few minutes. I forgot to buy more garlic, and so I'm using some that I had in little frozen pouches. So a little bit of olive oil just so that it doesn't stick to the bottom. Start it on medium. Alright, garlic is going in. Onion and garlic are in the pot with a little bit of oil so that they can get going. So if you are using tofu, I would recommend using extra firm tofu and then using a tofu press. So when I first was a vegetarian, I would press tofu by hand. So with paper towels or towels, it's a really long process of trying to get all that moisture out of the tofu. Because if it's wet, it just tastes bad and doesn't absorb any flavors. If it's dry, it'll suck up a little bit of the flavor of whatever you're cooking it in. So this is a tofu press that I bought. I just bought it off Amazon. I think it was like 20 bucks. It has 3 layers. So this part catches all of the drained tofu water. This is what the tofu sits in. And then this sits on top of the tofu block, and then you wrap these bands on it to press the tofu water out. So I have the tofu, which I cut open and then drained some water out. So we have the block of tofu in there. This goes on top. And then I'm just going to put the bands on that first little level. And then clip it in place. And there we go. It's in the pressing process. And so every few minutes I'll dump out the water so that it keeps pressing the tofu and gets it as dry as possible, in the next 10-20 minutes. While the tofu is pressing and the onions and garlic are softening, I'll talk about why I picked Moroccan lentils. So when you think about the properties that lentils have, they're really high in iron, they're high in protein, they're really cheap and easy to access. You can buy them in the bulk section of the store. You can buy them at a health food store and get the organic fancy ones. You have a lot of options. They're very versatile. You can eat them cold, you can eat them hot, You can put them in soup. There's a lot of options. So when I think of what I want my food to do today, I'm looking to protect myself and cleanse myself. I've been feeling really tired. I just started a new job, and it's a totally new schedule and a way higher client caseload than I'm used to. And so kind of getting myself back up to my full strength, feeling replenished, and ready to, help out all the clients that I work with. And so lentils are great for that. The dish also has carrots cooked in it, and carrots are great for like detoxing and unblocking flow. I recommend using, obviously, like as close to the natural carrot as you can get, right? So if you can grow your own, that's amazing. If you can't, then the ones from the store that you get in a big bag, you have to like peel them and slice them up. That's, the best, most accessible thing. Today I am cheating, and I'm going to use baby carrots. And the reason why I say it's cheating is because I have done a lot of research into like Eastern medicine and how they handle food, and like, food is medicine in a lot of other cultures, but it's not treated that way so much in Western culture. So, their theory is really that the food you eat needs to be as close to natural and real as possible for your body to recognize it as food and to get the most out of it. So I think with the way that baby carrots are processed, it's probably not as good for us. But, like I said, I'm having low energy, I'm tired, and I'm looking for some shortcuts wherever I can. And so I'm going to go with baby carrots today. Carrots. I have about 1.5 cups of lentils in here going into the pot. Alright, so we got about 28 ounces of water in there. And you have to put liquid in there to cook the lentils because they suck up a lot of water. And so it looks really soupy. It won't stay that way, I promise. Once that gets going to a boil, I'll add some bouillon. If you aren't vegetarian or vegan, you can use just chicken stock or whatever. I use a vegetable-based bouillon. Alright, and some salt. Cinnamon is part of what makes this Moroccan and awesome. You don't want to use too much because that will make it bitter, but cinnamon just gives it an extra kick. As far as properties, cinnamon speeds things up, and so a lot of people use it in spell work. You can also use it to like speed up your metabolism. People use it for losing weight, drinking like cinnamon tea. It's also good for cravings. So like if you're trying to quit smoking, some people chew like cinnamon gum or chew on a cinnamon stick. That's what cinnamon's good for. And then we're also going to put in some cayenne pepper. And that really just depends on how spicy you like things. I like a little bit of heat. Some cumin. And turmeric. If you haven't cooked with turmeric much before, it does stain. So, like if you're going to store it in a plastic container, once you've cooked it, it will stain it a little bit, kind of like curry. Same thing where like if you're going to use, bamboo or like white utensils, the turmeric will probably stain. So the tofu is pressed, and then I also put it in a paper towel to grab any extra liquid. Cubed tofu. Alright, we're starting to boil, so I'll add the bouillon. Once it's at a boil again, you can turn it down to medium and put a lid on it, and just let it cook until the lentils are done. If you have not cooked much with lentils before, it's when they kind of puff up a little bit and start to split. That's how you know that they're done. So if you are going to use a crock pot, I believe the original recipe that I found for this said low for 7 hours or high for 5 hours. That really depends on what all you're putting in here. The original recipe called for chicken, which I don't use, I use tofu, and so it would be important to cook it for the right amount of time if you're cooking chicken, because it has to reach the right temperature to be safe to eat. But if you're using just tofu or vegetables, it's just whenever the vegetables are done. Alright, it's been about 15 minutes. All of the liquid is gone out of here. It smells amazing. Let's check a carrot. It's done. Alright, so I like to top it with some cilantro. It's also really good with like diced tomatoes. You could make like an Indian-inspired yogurt to go on top. What else? You could do like some kind of fruit chutney, like if you want to do mango or pineapple, that would be super good with like the savory sweet balance. But I like to keep it simple. Let's see how we did. Get a little bit of everything on my fork. That is all of the things. That is all the things that I need in my life right now. Yeah. Well, that's it. So thank you guys for watching this episode of Cooking Up Magic. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and let me know if you have any requests for things that you'd like to see me make.